pleasure for me as a longtime fan to be sitting here with Aaron Gray.
Here with Larry Hama.
We're talking with Kevin J. Anderson, best-selling author.
Mr. Neil Adams.
I am here with David Fritz.
Axel Alonso, editor.
Shadow Stevens. And Dallas Comic-Con with John Delancey.
With Tom King.
Kevin Conroy.
Free comic book day.
Denise Crosby.
PopCon Pop Expo.
Here on location at Star Wars Celebration.
Cafe Expo, talking for our second time with Gil Gerard.
Wichita, Kansas at Time Eddie.
Producer David Gerald.
I've got Eric Flint.
Are here at Smallville Comic-Con.
Wizard World St. Louis.
VillageCon in Bentonville, Arkansas.
Michael Lombardi.
We were talking with Alan Dean.
Quincy Allen.
Suzanne Landon.
Of Starlog Magazine, Mr. Kerry Oakwell.
Chris Sami.
Len Lee. Dave Schwartz. Mano Incarami. Jason Aaron.
This is Sci-Fi for Me, your portal to the science fiction multiverse.
The Immortal Mask, a 1970s superhero crime noir adventure, follows a retired soldier turned reporter who is given a coveted interview with a death row inmate. What he learns thrusts him into Atlanta's shadowy underworld. He'll have to use his military training to survive being hunted for possessing the information that could topple the city's most powerful ruling class. This is not a pre-order or a crowdfunding campaign. Get your books now at denali's.com.
Entertainment Group presents the Madness Comic Network with original programming and additional comic-related content.
An age ago, the beating heart of our people was a king who knew only victory. He wanted nothing more than an honorable death on the battlefield. Yet, none could match him, and so he wandered the earth, becoming lost in time and tide. Then we too lost our honest purpose, while silk-clad men sat upon the throne. But tremble now, all cities that lay under the stars, for out of the shadows and mists of the land of promise, our courage has been rekindled, our heart has returned, and the world will burn.
Seconds to curtain, folks.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's RJ.
How you doing?
We have a 2-for-1 special on RJ's here in the house today. Welcome to the show, man. How you doing out there?
I'm doing great. I'm having a great time with CROM the Destroyer. The campaign took off at the first, and we're gonna hopefully just keep on going.
That's the way to do it. This is you know how to do these things. Now, this isn't your first, not even your second time around in crowdfunding.
No, this is my third campaign. I did a second chance campaign for the first book as well. So I've done a couple. I think it's 4 by now.
Yeah, you did the Thomas Valiant and then the Valiant Heroes. Hope I'm saying that right.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wait, what is RJ versus RJ? Ding ding. Oh no. Okay, I get it. We're not versus. we're friends here, man. Hello, Jim O'Reilly. Glad to see you out there in the chat. Yeah, 2 RJs. We're not gonna. I'm not gonna call out the wrong name during an exciting moment of the show. That's happened to me before in other instances. Didn't go well. Fortunately, it wasn't recorded. But if you know, you know, right? So this is a departure, though, from what you've done, because the other stuff was superhero, and this is looks more like I'm not gonna say sword and sorcery because I don't know if it goes to the magic side of things, but it's definitely sword and chainmail stuff.
Yep, definitely. It's return to low fantasy. That's what I call it. Return to the basics of low fantasy. And I really just looked around at what people were doing, and I thought the writing was on the wall with what people wanted. I'm still going to do superhero stuff, but there seemed to be a call for people wanting fantasy, and especially low fantasy. And I said, okay, I'll give it a try. And I just got the best reaction I could ever have hoped for, with people wanting this kind of a book and just looking forward to it so much. And so I'm pretty sure, I only set our campaign goal very low on the Indiegogo, just so, that's what they tell you to do. But we look like we're going to meet our goal to certainly pay for the production and everything of this. So I'm hoping we will be doing a second campaign, because I love doing this book. Sword and sorcery, low fantasy is something I've loved for a long time, and I wanted to do something because, well, again, one of the things is my books are for all ages, just because we need everybody to get into these comics, and I don't think that's something that a lot of the fantasy and science fiction stuff that we see out there in crowdfunding today is geared towards, especially the sword and sorcery.
Oh no, definitely not. But you look at the Conan stuff, and I'm talking about the Marvel comic stuff, not the Marvel magazine stuff. They were able to write that in a way that was exciting. It was violent. It was sexy. And, your average 10-year-old could pick it up and not get in trouble.
Yep. That's exactly what I was going for. And that's one of the things, too, about the fact that, there's beautiful women. I got Jim O'Reilly working on the first chapter, and Nick Axe doing the art for the second chapter. And that's the thing. There is spectacularly beautiful women, but we do it in the style of John Buscema. It's, it doesn't have to be in your face. It doesn't have to be for adults only. You can appreciate the beauty of these women as characters, and it brings the story to life even much more.
Oh, yeah. So some of the most beautiful fantasy women I saw were in comics. Were in Warlord by Mark Grell. Is Tara, Shakira, Jennifer. They were just, jaw-droppingly beautiful. And, even if there was a scene where you knew it was a sexy scene, or, I walked upon you in your shower kind of scene, it was always curtains in the window kind of fluttering thing. Yes, beautiful women exist, Woody. I've seen 1 or 2 in my lifetime. So the thing that smacks me right in the face when I look at this is, if I were going to go out and write a low fantasy book about a warrior king, probably the last name in the world I would pick would be CROM.
Well, that's a story element that doesn't come into the story until about the third chapter of the story. But the thing is that he doesn't actually have a name. Most of my stories begin with a feel of Man with No Name Western, and you jump right into the right into the action, and he doesn't actually have a name for the first part of the story. They just call him King. Everyone calls him my King or the King, and we just refer to him. If I'm talking to Jim or Nick, we just talk about him as King. But yeah, that's a story element that is brought in the third chapter, and it has to do with the old Celtic god of CROM, which is what I'm trying to draw on. Funny enough that I had a very, we'll say, old upbringing in the fact that there was a lot of old stories and things like that I grew up on as a kid. I probably read the same storybooks, the same Celtic mythology books that Robert E. Howard read in the 20s, just because they were available to me, and there were ones from 1880 and 1890, and so I wanted to draw on that Celtic mythology like he did to create a similar character, but with a different focus. I focus on more characters like Oisin, son of Féin, Connor Moore, and a couple of others, but CROM is one of those gods that is a destructive god, and I agree, this is not the name you would choose for yourself, but that's a very much a story element that is brought into the third chapter that really ties the entire things together and gives purpose to this man.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely shouts Robert E. Howard and evokes a lot of imagery right from the get-go. I would just, if it were me, I'd be worried that I would be like, people are going to be thinking Robert E. Howard Conan, can I live up to that? Were you worried at all about that, or like, just screw it, we're going to do it anyway?
No, I'm just screw it. We're going to do it anyway. It is a Conan inspired book, very much directed, like you said, by the Marvel kind of method of storytelling. It's much more cohesive in the fact that I find Marvel's Conan, if you read it in order, it has a very cohesive and structured pattern to it, where he's going and how his life unfolds. Very different from what you would get from Howard. But at the same time, I'm drawing on the essence of that. When I was writing this and preparing to write this, I had taken pretty much just go on the internet and listen to all of the Robert E. Howard stories again. I usually go to the librarian. He has a great library of readings for those stories, and I listened to them all, as many as I could find, and even some of the books. And I drew on that kind of storytelling and that kind of language at the same time, because again, I want to draw on the same kind of mythos that he drew on. And again, CROM is not his creation. It's a ancient god that has been around at the very least from the 4th century onward. I would say much older than that, but that's what we have physical evidence for. So, there's no problem with any kind of copyright for CROM. And you can't copyright Odin's name either, or Thor.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. And so, I wanted to pull on that string at the same time, offer something to people. It's kind of a character like Thanagar, if you know Thanagar, very much an inspiration from Robert E. Howard and the Conan stories, which Marvel even did a Thanagar comic as well. So it's that kind of thing, and I wanted to draw on that.
I wasn't Thanagar the planet that Hawkman came from in the DC universe?
Well, it might be, but there was a character that was created, which was basically a Conan substitute. I think it might have been in the 60s or the 70s. And there was some novels written about it. And then Marvel took those and put them into comics as well. When Conan was at the height of sales for them. So, there's a lot of those characters out there that draw on the same thing. And I want to give it a footing, again, that's so familiar that you can start right from the very beginning with your action, and you're not going to have to need a catch up, because that this man is just a warrior, and a warrior beyond par at some point, and you go from there, and you develop the story from there, and it's from the high point, and you just keep on going upwards.
Yeah, well, with Pops out here in the Madness Comic Network watching, you're going to probably hear from him or have him reach out to you saying, hey, why can't we get CROM the Destroyer to come out at the end of the month on CROM Con to promote that book to all the people that'll be there? So that seems like a match made in heaven. Maybe, that's why
we were supposed to do
on my show.
We were thinking of doing a live stream. Jim had invited me to do a live stream on the day we opened, but I was just so swamped with so many things. I think it was the day after we opened, but still, I'm just starting to relax now after having opened on the Friday.
Yeah, it's it's hectic when you first kick it off because you're like, it's Indiegogo, so you got to refresh and refresh and refresh. So you're just clicking on it the whole time. Woody said my character would be more of a warrior king. Yeah, I wait a second. I've got this. Let me say that again. My character would be more of a warrior king. Okay, now we got it covered. I had to get had to get my rim shot in there. So you had the campaign represented on a couple of shows already, Pops. Okay, never mind. I will stop trying to pass you off on somebody else for the rest of the show here. So I'm going to bring the campaign up so that people can look at it. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to refresh it because I want to start off with the actual number, which is still the same number, 9096. 55 days to go, folks. So let's make something happen here. I'd love to see this number change tonight. I'd love to see it hit the 5-figure mark. So it's only $4 away. No, it's $904 away, but let them think it's small. Let them think it's small. Then they'll all throw in $4 and we'll get there faster. Let me just scroll down a little bit here. And yeah, we're looking at the cover on the side here, but I want to get the big picture up. There it is. So throw us the elevator pitch on this. I mean, we know low fantasy, we know warrior kings, battles, fights, but what's the why and the wherefore of it all? What's his motivation?
The why is this is a man who is a king who is he's a warrior king, but he's aging out. He's starting to get to a point where he's losing his steps. He's getting a little bit slower, but he wants to die on the battlefield. He wants an honorable death. And the only way that he can think to have an honorable death is on the battlefield. And the thing is that if he continues to degrade in his skills, he's not going to get that. So he challenges everyone. He makes sure he gets into the front of the battle, and he makes sure that the most elite warriors are left for him to battle. And when he's in this kind of mentality, again, seeking an honorable death, he missteps in a way that actually it's very much a Celtic myth kind of way, where there's this idea in Celtic myth of you put bonds on yourself. It's like breaking your word. So he steps into something that just makes his honor smeared a little bit, and things start to snowball from there, and he has to do everything, even like move heaven and earth as much as he can to try to regain that honor that he has lost, even just to, again, have that honorable death that he wanted to begin with. So it's very much a man and his honor. I want a death, first of all, whereas he comes into it and I can't die now because my honor has been besmirched. I got to make sure that I regain that position before I can actually do that. So it's something that I talk about a lot on my channel. I talk about heroics, I talk about honor, and I think delving into manliness and honor is something that is missing so desperately in our society today. So this would resonate with a lot of people.
Yeah, that's especially if he's close to death already, getting older and like that. Now he's like, I'm ready for that honorable death. Oh man, why did I do that? Now I can't die with honor. I've got to, that's an interesting obstacle to throw into his path, that he's got to do stuff to gain his honor back. There is almost invisible on the cover here, this translucent female figure in the background. Where does she come in?
That would be his queen. There is a second trailer that you see a little bit of her in the second trailer. It's about 45 seconds. She's waiting for him to come back. She's basically holding down the fort of the kingdom, and she thinks that he will return no matter what. She doesn't think he will die in battle. She thinks he will return. So that's his queen, and she plays a pivotal role coming into the second half of the story. So there is, again, the beautiful woman, and there is the queen, and there is a dynamic of that manliness that has to play out through this relationship between the two of them. And, I wanted to draw that in as well. She was there. Jim O'Reilly is just so beautiful at drawing beautiful women. He came to me with some sketch art, which we'll see here if you scroll down a little bit. And we just put these up as here. There's the demon mask character, and there's another one a little farther down, which is the demon woman, the demon lance woman. Again, he came to me with these characters, and I thought, okay, we have beautiful women here on the opposite side. We need a beautiful woman on the good side. So, that's where his queen comes into, and that's why we have her on the cover. And, she's holding out a flame for him. That's what she's doing there. She's holding flame in her hand. So, again, the one who's holding down the fort, it's a good dynamic, I think, to bring into the story, because again, here's a man who has so many, I don't know, it's more of a deep, rich story and history that he has without just making him one-dimensional. I didn't want to make him one-dimensional.
So she wants him to come home, and he's hoping he doesn't have to go home. There's something going on there. But yeah, now this is what I was talking about before. You got that sexy scene going on here, but his leg's in the way. There's always something in the way. So, and this is very Frazetta. It's like, I'm going to fight and save you. Here, hold on to my leg and hamper my movements.
That's Henry Martinez doing that one. Henry, if you remember, he did, I think it was Ghost Rider for Marvel back in the 90s. So I met him through Don Chin, and he said, yeah, sure, I'll do a pinup for you. So he did that pinup after a couple of sketches. He just ran with it. So that's part of actually most of my pinups. I try to make them as if they are scenes from the book. It's like a missing panel from the book. Not that it's something that you need as a panel, but it's in between two panels of the book. So that's kind of what my posters are, and that's what this one is.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so he's battling some harpies in this one, which is clear indication that there is magic, or at least mythological creatures that exist in this world.
Well, I wanted to draw on as well. It's so it's very much in a prehistory kind of setting, but I am very much not only into Celtic mythology, but also into classical mythology, with especially the Greeks, and the idea, the Herculean idea of, well, Hercules comes at a point in history where he's cleaning up all the last of the monsters that used to be around. So I thought to myself, okay, if we're going several, millennia before that, well, there's got to be monsters, right?
Oh yeah.
So you got to have those monsters thrown in there. And again, this is part of my low fantasy, as in, you're not going to get, and it's very much a Robert E. Howard way of telling a story, you're not going to get this giant explanation of where these things come from and how they work. No, there's monsters in the world, and you're just going to have to deal with it.
Yeah, they're there. Of course there's monsters. Haven't you been out of the world lately? They just accept them. I get it. Look, I've been scrolling past a lot of these really cool battle scenes here. So if you like,
yeah, there's 11 pages of preview, all lettered on this campaign, to give everyone a preview not only of the spectacular art by Jim O'Reilly for those 11 pages, but also with the story for me, because a lot of people were asking over and over again. They're saying, you're a writer, you're the one who's producing this. Where's the story? Why can't we see your story when we're ordering this thing? So I said, okay, I'm going to have to give you story for this new campaign. That's why I put these 11 pages on there, because, well, we're going to have 66 pages minimum for the book itself. So 11's not too much.
Yeah. Now this scene here, we're talking about Celtic mythology, but this reminds me something out of Norse mythology, just with the big snake, the woman, and these stalactites. Stalactites hang tight to the ceiling. Stalagmites might reach the ceiling. Okay, yeah. These things hanging down. This reminds me of Loki's punishment cave, where he was supposed to be like, bound.
This is actually from an extra story that goes with the campaign. I wrote a story for Anvil, Iron Age magazine. They were looking for stories for their second edition, and I submitted one. And it was very much in the Robert E. Howard kind of vein, but it's basically set with a CROM character right between two of the chapters. And I said, this will be a great way to promote my book. And they said, great, let's do that. And I said, here's a piece of art I had done up for it as well. I said, you want to use this piece of art? And they said, let's use this piece of art plus another one. So we went whole hog with that. And you can order this print story from my campaign is called Morning Light. It's basically going to be a small pamphlet with the print story and these 2 pieces of art in it, which you can also get as pinup posters if you want them. But again, it will also be published in Iron Age Anvil magazine #2, which you can order from my campaign, and you'll get a signed copy of that, because Anvil is putting out their magazines very quickly. They will be to print with Anvil #2 before I actually get CROM printed. Even the earliest printing will be December. So that is a secondary story, but at the same time, it does play into, because it happens between 2 of the chapters of my book, the main story. You don't need it, but it's an extra.
Yeah, the Iron Age movement is really building up ahead of steam here, and people are getting behind it. I know that Kursova magazine right now is doing a campaign for their short story collection, The Mighty Sons of Hercules, which is a lot of this Robert E. Howard mythological character inspiration, that kind of storytelling. There's no art with that other than the covers, but it's definitely something that the market is swinging back toward, to wanting to read that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I came across that magazine as well, and it's very much in that Iron Age vein. And me being a writer, I'm only a small time, for me anyways, it's a small time YouTube channel compared to some of the bigger ones that can get $100,000 for their book. I can't do that. So my audience will support about 2 books a year. And outside of that, I still want to write. So going to Iron Age magazine or these other outlets, it's what I'm going to do to continue to write, even though I can't sell them directly as of yet, as part of an Indiegogo campaign or a crowdfunding campaign somewhere. So I'm going to try to dip my toe in a lot of different venues to keep these short stories that I'm writing in the public eye, and then it'll come back to these campaigns.
So how big of a story is this going to be, as page-wise, just for this first issue? Because we're seeing a lot of pages here.
Yeah, 66 pages for the book, unless we hit our stretch goals, and there will be additional pages. They're fairly high stretch goals, so whether or not we'll actually get to that high, I'm not entirely sure, but 66 pages is the minimum. I like to do my books in chapters, so that we're doing it in 22-page chapters, so that if in the future I ever want to publish it as a floppy, there's 3 floppies right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And overall, this is going to be, do you know how many issues cover this arc?
The arc, well, each book is a self-contained story. It's very much, again, trying to do the Marvel kind of storyline for basically the Conan kind of Marvel storyline. However, of course, this is going to be a story arc of as if it was 3 issues of floppy. So the entire story arc will be wrapped up in the 66 pages. And then if we have the chance, we will certainly continue on with this character and where he goes in his life after that point of, I guess, point of no return that he gets to at the end of the book.
Okay. Wow. I love penciled artwork. This is one of the reasons why I used to love the Conan magazine and the other ones like Incredible Hulk and Howard the Duck. It was like just this black and white look to it. Coloring sometimes muddies things up. But this
No, I agree. That's why I decided to put this. Yeah, I put up both as a graphic novel, which is colored, and as a black and white art magazine. You can get it as both, because I was looking at the art for from Jim Riley and Nick X, and I'm looking at the pencils because I have Mike Gustovich doing the inking, and he's an old hand from Marvel and DC. Worked on Batman, Thor, Conan, everything really, and he knows how much detail to leave in if it's going to be a comic size book, so that you can still see it. But there's a lot that gets lost in that translation, and I didn't want to lose all of that, but I knew there was no other way unless I published it in a different format. So I'm publishing it again as pencils in black and white magazine size, so you can get it that way as well.
So that answers this question that Jim O'Reilly had, which wasn't really much of a question, was it? Captain Finney's like, Heracles. Well, yeah, Hercules. It's funny you say that. I've got a story where Hercules, well, rather Heracles, is in the present day, and he's got a woman on each arm, and they're looking at constellations, and one of them says, "Yeah, something about Hercules," and he corrects her. He says, "No, Heracles." She's like, "Well, yeah, but other people called him Hercules," and he says, "No, nobody called him Hercules. They all called him Heracles, at least to his face." This is a quality book. I'll be backing mine next payday. Glad to hear that, Kevin. Thank you so much. Kevin is out there with Glenn in Monsterland, another quality book, by the way. So, now here's the crossover we need. CROM Space Knight. Yes. I would buy that toy. I would love to see that happen. So let's take a look at the tiers that we've got here, and we've been sitting on the first one for a while. This is $25. CROM, the book. There it is, 66 pages. Now you have the choice here of getting it either as a graphic novel or as the magazine, black and white, as we just mentioned. So I hope they're two different SKUs. But if you're fulfilling it yourself, it's your problem. Because I've seen a lot of fulfillments come through where it's like, yeah, it's the same SKU for all different versions of the book. I'm like, oh, that's a pain in the butt. So when you get this perk, it's you pick an option.
Yes,
that's the way to do it. Or it's a way to do it. And then you got the CROM plus the King's Army pinup. We saw this up here earlier. I can get the bigger picture up. It's a recruitment poster. So, I want you for the King's Army, right?
Yep. That's again, Jim put this headshot up just for, a sketch almost for our original character and what he looked like. And I said, I have to use this. It's so beautiful. I cannot not use this.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, that's a great looking crown. And the intensity and the expression there. And it's only $4 more. So, get yourself the book and then, get yourself this really cool poster to hang up on the wall. Pop down here a bit more, and you get the pinup poster. Now, I'm seeing 3 different pinup posters back here. Is this a pick one of 3 or?
Yes,
is it all
it's again, there's 3 SKUs for that. After you hit this perk, you can pick one of the 3. There's another perk down at the bottom if you want all 3 at once. But yeah, you go through the process of picking this, and then you can pick which one you want from the SKUs that pop up for you.
Yeah, these are gorgeous, and these are going to be on. I thought I saw it, but now I'm not sure. The size of the pinup posters, 11 by 17. Here's exactly right over here. I'm guessing that the other 3 pinup posters are also 11 by 17.
Yes, indeed, that's exactly what they are.
Perfect. That's a great size because you can. It's big, but it's not so big that you can put a bunch of them on your wall, as my wall will attest if you can see it, which you can't because I would get shut down from YouTube because some of the stuff's not safe for work. I'm a grown adult living single. I can put things on my wall now that are otherwise distasteful. So we got CROM and the oversized card. That sounds like another adventure coming up here. But what is the oversized card?
Well, again, these are the character sketches that Jim did for the 2 villains that we encounter within Chapter 2. Well, Chapter 1 as well, I guess. But again, they were so beautiful of sketches, and he said, "Let's use these characters." And I went, "Yeah, let's use these characters, and let's use these sketches as well." So you can get them as oversized cards. They're the size of a floppy cover, so you can put them in your bag with your book if you want, and it'll fit right in there snug and in your comic box as well. And but it's going to be a heavy card stock, so that they're printed on something, because a lot of people were asking me for the posters, I have to fold them in order to make sure that they get out there, because I can't roll them. That would triple the cost of shipping. But they said, can we have something that, is not going to have a seam in it, so I can put it up in even a picture frame? And I said, well, I can do this for you. I said, I can give you that oversized card. It's the same size as the comic book. You want to put that in a frame, it's going to be something beautiful and striking for these characters, especially with the black around that is, giving you the outline of the character and the character itself. So I said, yeah, we'll put this on heavy card stock and give it to you, because just as a poster, it wouldn't be big enough. But if you give it that oomph of a card stock, it would be something that people would be attracted to, I thought, because the cards for Thomas Valiant went like crazy. I couldn't believe how well people responded to just having cards of the characters.
Oh yeah, well, cards that size, those are more like mini prints. The fact that they're just on stiff, stiff backing makes them more durable. And you can definitely find frames that fit comic covers. I've got several of them. They will just slide them right in there. This is the one we talked about a little earlier here. This is the CROM Plus Your Morning Light story. This is a text story, right? A pamphlet.
Yep. Text story, again, in very much the vein of Robert E. Howard. I'm very much of the mind that if you want to learn how to, break the rules of good storytelling and bring it into a new direction, you got to first know intimately what the rules are. And again, since I'm drawing off the Robert E. Howard style, I decided, well, I'm going to write a story that's as close as I can get to a Robert E. Howard style. So that's what I did with Morning Light, again, which is going to be published by Anvil.
Okay, now it's where does this fit in with the CROM graphic novel? Is it before, after, middle of the adventure, outtake kind of thing?
Well, there's a bit of a low period between the second and third chapter, and it happens within that low period between the second and third chapter, just because there's some events that need to have some time to unfold between those two chapters. So I thought, why not set it there? And since Anvil was doing I think it was like not really a camping kind of theme, but it was more of a camp story kind of theme. And that's exactly fit exactly in with what was going on with my characters. I thought, yeah, let's do that. So it does fit in there. You don't need it for the story. It's not something essential to understand the book at all. It's just an extra thing that happened along the way.
All right. Scrolling further down. You get both oversized cards. I don't think we need much explanation on that. You just you don't have to choose, and you can get all 3 pinups for $35 plus all 3 pinups. That's $10 for the 3 pinups. That's a great deal. That's cheaper per pinup than it was to get 1 pinup. But now this is cool. This I did not notice when I scrolled down on the left side here. You have a map.
Yeah, there was something about a cloth map. I used to play Ultima, if you ever know that game, and it came with spectacular cloth maps. I put them up on my wall. They were on my wall for, a good 10 years when I was a kid. And there's something about a cloth map in a fantasy world that just draws you into that world. So I thought to myself, I went to my printer and I said, can you do this on cloth? And he said, yeah, we can do that as long as it's not too large. And I said, no, it's not going to be too large. It's just going to be what you would normally get within something like a video game. But I wanted to give, again, I had a map for Thomas Valiant just to show the people who are reading, if they wanted to know where in the city he's bouncing around to. So this is exactly what I'm trying to do with CROM as well. Give you a taste of this world, but at the same time, give you that little bit extra in case you wanted to understand where he's going between location and location. And at the same time, you get a beautiful map. We're not finished with that, unfortunately. I don't have the finished art for that yet. I only had the temporary coloring for it and everything else. So, but yeah, it is something that I like. Maps are something I love. And I think a lot of fantasy people love maps as well. So I just could not put up this campaign without having a map.
So what comes first, the story or the map?
Honestly, it depends on, that is a really good question, because for me, for my story and the way I like to write, I set up in my mind very, very strict locations that are usually based upon real places, so that I can calculate distances and times and how things are going to unfold, and then it helps the story tell itself. But for this story, the locations and the times, again, there is a time element to this book that is very much, I don't know what you'd say. It's very much in your face, as in to say, I don't know how to explain it actually, but it's the time that passes within this book. It is very much keen on the mind of the characters, because again, he's a man that's running out of time. So I had to write the story for this one before I did the map, and that was one of the few stories I've written that I didn't have the map done first.
Yeah, I can imagine the fun it would be to just make a map and go crazy with it, and then say, okay, time for story, and we're going to go from the village to the town on the top of the mountains. Oh, the map says we have to go through the pit of deadly vipers. How are we going to get through that? How are we going to make it as hard as possible for our characters to survive? But have you written anything where you started writing it and then you went to look at the map and like, oh crap, there's a obstacle that's in the way of my writing?
Well, definitely. I have a novel manuscript which I'm hoping to get published someday. It's been professionally edited, and it's not something that mainstream book publishers will look at, just because we have a very male hero and he has a damsel in distress and all that kind of thing. So it's never going to be published in mainstream. So I'm going to hopefully get it published. But yeah, that's exactly what I did. I set it in a real place. It's sort of an alt history, and the story started to unfold, and I said, dang, there's something here which they need to get from point A to point B, and they're on foot. It's going to take them a while, so I'm going to have to change the story. So yeah, that does happen with my writing.
That's a fun problem to have, though. It's because it's like I have to write more, not I have to take out. That's the hard part. Taking out. Writing more is easy. Scrolling back up, I missed this comment from Kevin here. As CROM was a real god. Didn't know that. I thought they made up a god that Arnold could pronounce. CROM. Yeah. No, it's actually from the books, and as RJ has said, it's actually from mythology before that Howard drew upon. You can get both the graphic novel and the black and white version in magazine size. Save $5 if you combine them. Also save $5 if you just get the two graphic novels. Imagine you also save $5 if you get the two magazines. Same cover on both the graphic novel and the magazine.
Well, I'm not one of those people who likes to put alternate covers on things. People have been asking me for an alternate cover, but I really don't like to cheat the customer out of an extra cover. And I think it's a bit of a weaselly thing to try to put too many covers on a book and just sell it because of the cover. So yeah, I like to go with the one straight cover.
It's a fine line, but on the plus side, you guys aren't doing the Weasley's thing is when you say you can't get the alternate cover unless you buy 100 of the regular cover. That's the thing that the mainstream does to the retailers. It just kills them all. And I've seen definitely plenty of usually girly book campaigns where they're like, and on cover 17K, you can either get it in clean or naughty or really naughty versions. So there's like, hundreds of alternate covers. 2, nobody cares about 2. But so this is you're including Iron Age #2. Now, this is going to have the same story that we had above, the Morning Light story, but in its officially published format, I guess.
Well, Richard over at Anvil, he's going to publish it in it's going to be the same story, but again, I don't even know exactly how his editor is going to deal with publishing both the art and the story. That's up to them. I wanted to have it so that you could get it directly from me, just as separate and much less expensive than if you wanted to buy the full Anvil. But I won't be shipping mine again until usually Anvil said, give us 6 months with our book so that, we can sell it and make sure, and then you can print yours and sell it then, because that's one of the things with Anvil. They say, you want to sell it later as part of your campaign, go right ahead. Richard is great over there. And actually, we have Edwin Boyette actually reading the story as well. We got him to he volunteered to read the first part of the story, which we're putting up, and waiting till the publishing of Iron Age Anvil magazine #2. And when it goes out to backers, the full story will be up on his YouTube channel to listen to. Again, that'll be down the line, but it's very much listen to this great story. But yeah, so I talked to Richard and I said, how's about we combine forces here for my campaign so that we can sell both of the books, except for the fact that again, when your book comes out, which is going to be before mine, you send me however many that the people order, and I will sign them. This is the only thing that I'm signing for this campaign, is the Anvil magazines that people want ordered, and I'll sign my story for them in that.
Yeah. And that is why I noticed this earlier and I didn't comment on it, where your estimated shipping is 2023, except where your own chapbook version of Morning Light is coming out. That's going to be April 2024, which will allow the period of sales for the Iron Age magazine, Anvil magazine, and then releasing yours. So,
yep,
nice way around that. And of course, if you've listened to Edwin read Dune before, then you know you're going to be in for a treat listening to him to read Morning Light. Been a long time since I've listened to Edwin on his YouTube channel. I have to check him out, see what he's up to these days. So I scrolled way back up to see that and confirm it. And coming back down here, this is the CROM full bundle by CROM. That's getting you everything. You're getting the comic graphic novel, the graphic novel version and the magazine version, all 4 of the posters, both the oversized cards, the map, Morning Light, and the print story. So this is, wait a second. This is this the Morning Light Anvil magazine story or the Morning Light chapbook story?
The books, my version of the story, not the Anvil one.
Okay, because I got thrown off because of the December 2023 date.
Richard and I are playing with numbers because again we're trying to make sure that both of us have ample time to sell the story. But again, we're working through these things. But he's very much accommodating on this fact that if it's with the bundle, then you can get it.
Okay, well, it's a very popular one because you've had 23 people claim this one. That's the bulk of or at least half of the campaign there, I would think. 23 copies of that, which is good. Now, we haven't had any retailers jump in here yet to get 5 copies for your stores. But, if you are a retailer, you can do that. 5 copies for $100, either one. And then, and nobody has claimed the original art, really? Wow. I mean, I understand I don't have $900 I could spend right now either, but wow. I wish I did. That's what's the size of that thing?
Nick usually does his, it's a, what's the normal size of a comic page that it's drawn on? Oh, I can't think of it off the top of my head, but it's an oversized page that you would normally do up comics on and then reduce the size. So it's fairly big. But I also want to point out that with this, we added this to the campaign because my artist Nick X, he said he wanted to sell it, and all of that money goes to him. It's going through this campaign, but none of that's going to me. It's going straight to the artist, because if it does sell and it's his art, then great for him, and that's an extra bonus that he can have.
That's a great way to do that. So folks, if you want your artist to really get paid for his artwork, rest assured he's going to with you buying this one. Yeah, Bristol board, the stuff that they draw, and that is oversized. I don't know the dimensions off the top of my head, but I have seen it, so I know it's way oversized. I'm going to reload here just to see if anything has moved on this. And, this is where I get all embarrassed and disappointed because, RJ, I did not help you much tonight. Jim says it's 11 by 17.
I think that getting the word out there is the most important thing. I've always said this on my channel when I'm talking about trying to sell books. It's the hype that kills you. If you don't have that hype, if you don't have that excitement for people to want your book, then it's not going to sell, even if you have the best story in the world and even if you have the best art in the world. So getting out there is appreciated. And I want to thank everybody here for coming tonight and taking a look at my campaign, because, again, the more eyes we can get on this, the better.
Yeah, and you have met the campaign goal, but I'm sure you might be getting close to the actual goal, close to 10,000. I think that's pretty much what you would expect to really need to pay everybody. But this is a 66-page book, so probably more than that, considering all the art that had to be paid for. And I did laugh at the flexible goal 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm like, yeah, that's just him hitting numbers to put it in there.
It's always a point of we'll say sales for me, and going back to where I traditionally come from. I always have my entire YouTube channel. It's about the heroic virtues and a true hero, and there's always 4 virtues that I'm going on about. So that's what I picked for the original Thomas Valiant number, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. You got to have the 4 virtues in order to be a hero. So I'm always thinking to try to sell the idea of even what you pick for numbers.
Well, so okay. I don't know what the 4 virtues are. What are they? I know there's 7 deadly sins. I thought there'd be 7 virtues.
Well, there are 7 virtues, but the 4 virtues, the 4 heroic virtues, because you have prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. Those are the virtues you can work on yourself. If you want the other 3 virtues that go along with that, they're theological. They're faith, hope, and love.
Okay, so I'm guessing that CROM is going to have to work on the 4 virtues to get his honor back.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, that's a hero's journey in the making. This looks fun. And I think you're going to, you've really just started. What is it? 5 days ago, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And are you going to be taking this anywhere other than Indiegogo afterwards? You going to go over to Kickstarter or Fund My Comic or anything?
Well, I tried to do a campaign on Kickstarter just for the Valiant Heroes, and really it didn't take off at all. And I don't think, like, doing stuff in Kickstarter is not it seemed a little bit, I don't know, slimy to me. I just don't like Kickstarter because of all the things that they've done. And I did that experiment to see if anything would pop up, if I would get any kind of a new audience there, and nothing ever really happened with it. So there's no chance that I'm ever going back to Kickstarter. But I don't know about Fund My Comic in the future. Hopefully I can get to work with them, but right now this is where all my audience is. So and the thing is that too, I had said this on my own live stream. The thing is that things are really tight right now, and I know for everybody things are really tight. So you got to get every last penny to actually bring this book to life, and people are squeezing just to get something like this and pay $25. I know. So I want to have everybody see and look at the goals and say, okay, I know this is taken off. I know this is going to go, if you divide it between 2 campaigns, then that might not be there. And I don't want to, embarrass people in the fact that, he's not going to reach his goal. Why would I back this kind of thing? Right? Why would I bother spending my money? It's hard-earned money. And I realize that everybody is doing everything they can to keep their head above water these days. So every last penny that you put into my campaign, I try to make sure that I give you peace of mind.
That's a good thing. And this one, it's a flex goal. You were going to do it either way, but thank goodness, thank CROM that you are 737% over that. It's only going to go up from here. This is going to be 5 figures, little Missy, easily within the next week. So, well done, great job on this one. And it's it's going to go down as another quality comic, just like your Thomas Valiant and the Valiant Heroes books. Can't wait to get my hands on those. By the way, I was part of the Valiant Heroes backing, so that's some great looking stuff as well. Are we going to see more from that?
Oh, definitely. Renzo is just finishing up the very last page of the Kit Fox story, which is part of the Valiant Heroes. He did that story for the Valiant Heroes. And again, he's doing the last page, which is page 26. When he's done of that, he's going to start with the character sketches in page 1 of Thomas Valiant number 2. He jumps straight onto that. All right.
Well, RJ, thank you so much for coming on here tonight and sharing CROM the Destroyer with us all. Like I said, I think you're on the edge of a rising wave here of interest in this kind of storytelling again. I know people talk about superhero fatigue. I just say, no, they're just tired of bad stories. Good stories can be said in anything, and you've been proving time and again that you know how to tell good stories in any genre.
Well, thank you very much. That's what I tried to do. I try to make sure that, everything that I do is entertaining. It's the opposite of what you're going to get in mainstream comics, because I want to give you something that's going to make you excited and want to come back for more.
All right. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. We don't have a show without you guys. We're just a podcast falling in the woods alone, otherwise. And so we're always happy to see you here interacting. You were very interactive tonight, and I appreciate that. I didn't keep up with you nearly as much as I probably should have, but I'll learn. Anyway, though, we're glad you were here. And as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.